This is Three Beards Media. Real talk, no filters, no scripts. From sports to culture, we say what others won't. Turn it up, lock in, because it all starts right now. Live from the AKC Andrew Downs Studios and powered by Revelton Distilling Company.
If you want to know where the storm rolls next, you gotta read the clouds over old Midwest. Every yard, every basket, every mat that's worn. You learn to see the future by tracking the storm. We're tracking the storm, watching it form. From Jack Trice's courage to the heroes yet born. Hilton lights shining like lightning in the night. Jack Trice way, glowing in the stadium lights. From the sweat in the barn to the roar in the stands. Every cyclone story's written in the land. Yeah, the path gets clearer with each legend swarm. We're keeping eyes on tomorrow by tracking the storm. Dwayne Crutchfield, pounding turf like rain. Big 8 Saturdays, driving through the pain. 2 years, rushing past 1,000 on the ground. Made the whole conference feel that thunder sound. Then Troy Davis hit the hole like a flash. Back to back, 2,000 turn records into ash. Heisman nights, but win or lose that day.
All right, we are back to Tracking the Storm. I am your host, Dave Larson, and Keith Schrage is joined. This is actually your show. I'm just kidnapping it for the for the evening because Kent's not able to be on. But we wanted to have a very special episode here dedicated towards Coach Jim Walden, who passed away earlier in the week. And Keith, you were able to line up some guests for tonight.
Yeah, and I tell you, it was pretty easy to line up the guests to come in and talk about Coach Walden, a real easy guy to talk about. And first call I made or first text I sent out was to the guy sitting center screen for us right here. And the guy that, replaced Coach Walden in his tenure at Iowa State. And I know there were some unique stories tied in there, especially with Troy Davis, with Coach Walden and Coach McCarney. And, Coach, I know you kept a close relationship with a lot of the coaches from Iowa State, but Coach Walden in particular, a lot of guys leave town and gone. He stuck around for 12 more years and had a lot of things to do in Central Iowa. I'd love to just hear your take on the whole part of Coach Walden, his legacy, and the fact that the replacement that you had to do. You did an amazing job, by the way. So.
Well, Keith, Dave, great to be with both you guys, and happy 4th of July weekend, and wish we were doing this show under a little brighter light and a little better circumstances. But deepest respect for Jim Walden. None of us want to say goodbye to our friends or family or coaches or teammates or classmates or any of those things, but I think all of us would probably sign that contract if somebody said, hey, you're going to make it to 88 like Coach Walden did. And for the most part, didn't have many real serious health issues and lived a great life and gave so much to the game of football and impacted so many people's lives. And I never coached with him. I never coached against him. I take that back. I coached against him. I never coached with him. I never played for him. But I did get to coach against him when I was at the University of Iowa and when I was at the University of Wisconsin. A lot of people probably don't remember. When I took the job and left Iowa City after 36 years and a couple decades at Iowa, I went to Wisconsin with Barry Alvarez, and we played Iowa State in Jim Walden. And I still have a game ball from when we were trying to turn that program around, and we won 7-6. And it was two pretty good defenses and two offenses that didn't play very well. And I still have a game ball, but tremendous respect for Jim Walden. And I found out about him and knew a lot about him just from Barry Alvarez because they had that Nebraska background from decades before. And Barry always had real positive things to say about Jim. But, we didn't get to spend lots of time together, but I just always had a lot of respect for him, for what he gave to the game of football, the impact. When I met so many guys, Keith, like you, that played for him, they always had a positive thing to say. They always had a good taste in their mouth. It's easy to see why when you're around Jim Walden. I don't know if he ever had a bad day in 88 years, and I'm sure he probably did, but he wouldn't let you know it. Right. Always that way to me. Just such an upbeat and positive guy. And legacies, we all know, guys, when it comes to sports and athletics, legacies start with wins and losses. Okay, let's not beat around the bush. That's really, really important. That's why they have those big things called scoreboards at the end of the football fields.
Yeah.
But way beyond that is how you did it, to me. And I think to a lot of people that really love the game of football, college football, appreciate it, respect the integrity of the game. It's how you did it and the lives that you impacted and the lives that you changed and the lives that you improved. And there's no question that Coach Walden did a great job of that all through the years, wherever he was and whoever's lives he touched and whoever's lives he came in contact with. So he's just one of those guys. I'm glad he was a part of my life. I didn't get to spend nearly as much time around him as the guys that played for him and coached with him. But as you said, Keith, he stayed in Ames. He stayed around. I did get to see him. We started that kind of a routine and a tradition every Sunday night when Kirk Ferentz and I had about 7,000 other things going the night before, the Sunday night before we're going to play the Iowa State-Iowa game. But Jim would call, and would you mind getting on with Jim and Jim tonight? So Kirk and I would get on every Sunday night before we played that following Saturday and get on and talk about the game. And he was always professional, always had a great sense of humor, had a great understanding about the game of football. And then, as I think I mentioned, when he went and ended up moving out to Idaho, then he had the other Jim and Jim show with a guy named Moose. And I got on with him every year the last few years in the fall. In fact, twice this past season, once during the regular season and once during the postseason. And I can tell you one thing, guys, when you do an interview with someone, you can tell whether they're still really with it mentally and still sharp and still real articulate. And Coach Walden sure was that up until, I assume, the time that he passed. So sad that he's gone, but just thankful that he gave so much to so many people's lives and gave so much to the game of college football.
We had him on in early January this year. I think he might have been our second or third guest on Tracking the Storm, and his recall and his timing and delivery of both his one-liners and also his remembering of just very details of games and situations that came on, and was just remarkable. And his recall of players. He came back to a couple Iowa State letter winners weekends. And I know the one year he probably had 40 some or 50 some guys that played for him during that time we're there. We had some coaches came back as well. And he's very revered in the city and around the state of Iowa. I know what he did for me. I can go into it later on, but the guy was a mentor to me. My dad had passed and I still had talked to Coach Walden and Coach Thomas was another one of my mentors, but when both of those guys are gone, the guy that I could lean on was Jim Walden, and for whatever reason, he always did, and I can't thank him enough for it. Helped me through a lot of tough times. Yeah,
exactly, Keith, and that's when those relationships mean the most, when you're going through tough times, and we all do. Somebody says they've never been through a hard time or tough time, they're lying. Everybody goes through them,
right.
In their professional lives. Sometimes in their family lives, all those things. But Jim was just one of those guys that I got a feeling, he had this personal touch about him. And when you got through talking to him, you always just felt a little bit better. He just had that knack for doing that. I remember just in recent years, they brought Johnny Majors, Jim Walden, myself back for the same home game. It was great to spend time with him. Here are these two phenomenal older head coaches than me. Johnny recruited me. I spent a lot of time with him. Almost came to Iowa State, signed the conference letter of intent, decided to stay in Iowa City. But then I got to coach against Johnny in the 1982 Peach Bowl, Iowa, Tennessee. We got to coach in the 86 Kickoff Classic out in New Jersey, Iowa, Tennessee again. Got to coach against it. That was really special. But just the three of us getting to talk on the field that day and just all of us reliving some great times that we had, and just the deep respect we had for the Iowa State fans and for the opportunity to be head coaches at Iowa State. Because if you've not walked in those shoes, and not many people have, you don't really understand it. You don't know. You think you do. A lot of people do. The challenges, the great opportunity that we had, but the things that go on behind the scenes that make it really, really tough. And thank God we had those incredible fans to help get you through those struggles. And I know the Iowa State fans meant so much to Coach Walden in all the years. I believe he was if I'm not mistaken, guys, I think he was there 8 seasons. Am I right on that? That he was at Iowa State
You are
for 8 years?
correct. You are absolutely correct, Coach.
Yeah, I think it was 8. And as you guys know, he had some success and he had some big wins. And early when he got there, he did some real positive things. And I believe he had a winning season one year, but there wasn't enough bowl games to go around. So the Cyclones stayed home that year. But unfortunately,
that was 1989, and
there you go.
Had Blaise Bryant. I was a graduate assistant on that staff,
Right.
And we played with everybody. I mean, we finished 6-5, and we lost to everybody that we lost to was in the top 10.
Right.
It was quite a year.
And and he was a smart offensive coach, and that was his forte, obviously. Unfortunately, they never really sustained or built a really good defense all the years that I coached and recruited against Iowa State when Jim was there. But boy, you better bring your A game defense when you lined up against him with that offense and the things that he did. And he was brilliant with the offensive side of the football, no doubt about it. And that doesn't mean that they didn't have some good defensive players and good defensive teams at times, but they were much better offensively than they were defensively in the years that I coached against them. But he just did a great job. You know what, guys? The older we get, and I'm much older than you guys, obviously, but I just came back. In fact, Keith, it was the same weekend that Iowa State had their reunion. I had helped Matt Campbell put that together the first 2 years, and tremendous turnout. I wasn't able to come this year because Chuck Long had invited me months before that to come up and do the fundraiser for the Children's Foundation, he and Angie Peterson. So I couldn't say no. I had committed to that. But anyway, it just brings to light how these bonds are forever, coaches and players. Chuck Long was there. Mark Vlasic played in the NFL, quarterback. T-Bone Hayes, Jonathan Hayes, many years in the NFL. Billy Happel, Scott Halverson. Halvy's one of the top back judges in all the NFL. He's done Super Bowl games. My point is, when you get together, Sage Rosenfels came up. Voice of the Cyclones, John Walters came up. Voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin came up. These bonds and these friendships are so meaningful, and they're there for many, many, many years. And especially if you're good at building relationships, which Coach Walden was. And so I honor him. I respect him. My deepest sympathies go out to his family. But the game of football, the game of college football is much better because of what Jim Walden gave to the game through all those years.
We're going to get into a little bit of that, too, down the road. Some of the challenges that he faced when he took over and how he took on the NC2A. And I'm not sure a lot of people realize just the kind of battle he put up against them and some of the changes that took place in college football because of his fight for what was fair and what was right. And it's carried on for a long time. I mean, the guy didn't get a lot of credit for the things he did. And unfortunately, like you said, Coach, sometimes the legacy is just built around wins and losses. But the guys that played for him, the guys that coached with him, the guys that coached against him, they know what kind of guy he was. And he was an upstanding person that did the right things right. Yeah,
exactly right. And, I came in at the end of his tenure at Iowa State, obviously. But along the way, he'd had some real successful seasons and had some really good positive things happen out at Washington State. Yeah. He always spoke so highly of his years at Washington State. He loved those years. And like every other coach that I ever met and talked to about Iowa State, whether they had great success, a little bit of success, not enough success, whatever, every head coach that I ever talked to, Jim Walden, Johnny Majors, Earl Bruce, all of us that were, obviously Matt Campbell, Paul Rhodes was one of my former assistants, my first few years at Iowa State. Everybody just had such great things about the city of Ames, the people that are there, and the fans that were there to support you. And you can't please everyone all the time. We all know that, depending on how you do in your latest game. They're either patting you on the back, hugging you up, wanting to take a picture, wanting your autograph, or hoping that they can put you in a dumpster and haul your ass out of town based on the results of the last game. That's just the way it is. It's a high-risk, high-reward profession. It's a great profession. I never would have wanted to do anything else in my life. And I've been asked many times, what would you do nowadays? And I think about Coach Walden with this. Would you have done anything differently had you had all this money to give recruits? Would you have been a different coach had you had all that money, the crazy money that college coaches are making today? I don't regret one thing. I'll bet Coach Walden never did. He didn't regret one thing of the time that we were in that profession, the experiences that we had. We still tried to do what we did, guys. We got into coaching, and Coach Walden and I talked about it. We got into coaching because we wanted to give back to the game that was so great to us. We didn't get into it because we read about some assistant coach's salary or some coordinator's salary or the head coaches in the Big 10, Big 12, Big 8, SEC, ACC, Mountain West, whatever it is. We didn't get into it because we're reading about salaries. Hell, Kirk Ferentz and I giggle and laugh about it. We went to the Rose Bowl in 1981, and he made $2,000 more than I did, which is BS. He made $26,000. I made $24,000. You think we got into it because of the money?
Right.
And but my point is, when Coach Walden got into it back in those years too, it wasn't because you're going to have 3 vacation homes and go on a bunch of cruises and all this great money you're making. It's because we love the game. We wanted to give back to the game. And boy, did Jim Walden do a great job of that for many years.
And
Sure
Coach, he brought in perhaps one of your most favorite recruits in Troy Davis, right? That he was the bridge between Coach Walden and Coach McCarney.
Yeah, absolutely. And what a great job those guys did to get him up to follow up and do the things they needed to take care of the academic end of it, make sure that he qualified and got there. And then, I've talked about it before, but it had nothing to do with Jim Walden. Things had really fallen apart there at the end. It was a bad experience for Troy's first year, his freshman year. He honestly didn't get to play very much his first year there, but he played just enough to use up a year of eligibility. But his bags were packed when I got there, and he had the dreadlocks. He had a gray T-shirt with about 6-7 holes in it. He had some gray shorts on with about 2 or 3 holes in it. I remember sitting in my office and saying, "Coach, congrats on the job, but I'm going back to Miami. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm not going to stay at Iowa State." That was my first conversation with Troy Davis. And it wasn't like I had all this game tape of watching him and all these big games and all this yardage. There wasn't that. The last game that he played under Coach Walden, Coach was suspended in the Colorado game. Troy took a kickoff and went back 90-some yards. And that was the only big play that I was able to watch on tape of Troy Davis. So we were betting on the come, too, because he had a lot. I watched some high school tape. Obviously, he was really good there. But bottom line is, we didn't recruit Troy Davis. We developed Troy Davis on and off the field. And then we were able to get in the living room because of Troy coming to Iowa State to get Darren Davis. And between the two brothers, we got 7,000 yards rushing against some of the best competition, the best defenses, and some of the most highly ranked teams in all of college football. So we'll always be thankful for the great job. I believe Arnie was the geographic recruiter that went down to Florida, but obviously Jim Walden was the head coach, and they closed the deal and got Troy to come. And here he ends up being a Heisman finalist twice. Had we won 2, 3, 4 more games Troy's junior year, I believe he would have gotten it. Still should have gotten it. Yeah. Danny Werfel got it because they had a much better record and they had a high-profile team with Coach Spurrier, and we hadn't turned the program around yet. But here it was think about this, guys. It was 1995 and 1996. Nobody had ever done it in the history of college football. It's now 2026, and nobody still has ever done what Troy did. 2 years in a row, over 2,000 yards. And it all started with Jim Walden and Arnie going down to Miami, Florida, Southridge High School, and getting Troy Davis to come to Iowa State.
Sure enough.
One of the things I think both of you had talked a little bit about is the post-career of Jim Walden. Like, to get out of coaching, that just has to have that. You have to have that itch probably for a couple of years, even afterwards. And he just seemed to evolve into this broadcaster, talk show host that he really had a life after coaching, and he had fun with it too.
Boy, he had a lot of fun with it, Dave. I mean, he really did. He was good at it. And some people are a lot better than others. Some of them you can listen. You guys know you're in the media profession. Some guys are kind of fun and you kind of look forward to it. And some of them you interview because you kind of have to, but you don't really want to. Some of them are like listening to them are kind of like watching paint dry on the wall. We've all listened to those interviews, whether it's, just audio or visual too. But Jim was never that. He was lively. He was sharp. He was smart. He had a great sense of humor. He was articulate. He had fun. But he always had great respect for the people that he was interviewing and talking to. Not one time, and there were times he sure could have done it, I'm sure, but not one time did he ever try and make me look bad. As I told you, Kirk Ferentz and I would get on that Sunday night program every Sunday night, every year with those guys. Not one time, no matter how the season was going early, or in the case of 2001, when we played the last game of the year regular season because of 9/11, not one time did he ever try and make us look bad or something negative or put you in a bad position where you might, the hair might get up on the back of your neck and you might say something you regretted later on. That wasn't Jim Walden. He had such respect for the game of football and the coaches and the players and the people that were involved with the game of football. There should be more people that get on radio shows and TV shows, I think, that had the personality and the understanding of the game and the great respect for the integrity of the game that Jim Walden had.
Yeah, no question about it. That guy was, sitting in staff meetings with him, watching him dissect a game film, or especially the defensive, looking at a team's defense and strategizing and identifying different players and being able to manipulate our offense in a way that we could, put our best player on their worst or whatever. It was fun to watch him to do what he did. And in the 80s like that, he was playing chess when a lot of people were playing checkers.
Yeah, agreed. And the other thing too, you don't build. He was a great example of this. I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry, but you don't build chemistry and confidence around selfishness and arrogance. You just don't. Okay, the best teams are the best. You can be confident like crazy. I mean, shoot, I was in the national championship team. I think 21 bowl games, just all these Rose Bowls, Orange Bowls, Sugar Bowls, in Holiday Bowl, just incredible opportunities that I never thought in a million years I'd get a chance to do. But I learned a few things along the way. You don't build confidence around and chemistry around arrogance and selfishness. And I never, ever, you know this better than I do, Keith, I never felt there was ever any of that around Coach Walden. Confident? Damn right he was. He knew what he was doing, and he had a great offensive scheme and offensive concepts that would drive defensive coordinators nuts, especially when you had the right pieces in place. But it was never about that. And I just really appreciate guys that are real confident yet humble, classy, but not overbearing. But he was just one of those guys that just I always felt like, he would have been. I imagine he would have been real entertaining in home visits. Now, nowadays, as you guys know, the home visits probably don't mean quite as much as they used to, because what it used to be was about the relationship, building trust, building that amazing relationship with the head coach, the coordinator, and the position coach, your academics, your fans, your facilities, your future, your schedule, your opportunities. All that stuff sounds good nowadays. What do they do when they walk in a home? How much am I going to get paid? But back in the day, for 100 years, those other things were the first things we talked about. And I only can imagine how entertaining it must be with Jim Walden in that house, coming into homes, because he had great personality. He was an outgoing guy. He knew what he wanted. He loved Iowa State the years that he was there, and he believed that they could be a consistent winner. And, there were reasons behind the scenes sometimes, probably why some of it happened and some of it didn't. But he would have been, I imagine, it would have been a real entertaining home visit to be in a home with Jim Walden.
I remember
offensive staff meetings were really, really fun. Let me just tell you that it was really fun.
Yeah,
I remember as a student, 1992, November, as I recall, against Nebraska. Nebraska comes in as 7th ranked. They were dominating everybody. And for some reason, I decided I'm going to study while this game was going on. Cold day, I'm studying, and all of a sudden I hear all these horns honking and people loud. And then I look over and I see the goalpost going down the street. I thought, what just happened? Well, that was a big game against Nebraska, that the Cyclones beat the Cornhuskers for the first time in eons, 19-10. And I think that was sort of a capstone to his legacy at Iowa State, to come off with a big win. And he had a big win down in Norman, Oklahoma as well, a few years before that. Coach, you said it, it's not always about wins and losses. What do you think Jim Walden's biggest contribution is to the Iowa State program and to the Ames community?
Well, I think you guys probably know, I studied it. I didn't study it. I didn't get to know quite as much as I probably should have known before I took the job. Gene Smith interviewed me at Denny's in Madison, Wisconsin. At that stage, anytime you get interviewed at Denny's, you're probably thinking, I wasn't thinking I was a real top prospect for the job. But I knew quite a bit about, because I recruited against Iowa State all those years at Iowa. I coached against Iowa State all those years at Iowa during the Jim Kreiner, Jim Walden years. Then I went to Wisconsin, as I mentioned earlier. We still were recruiting and coaching against Iowa State. So I knew quite a bit about it. And there was no question that if he could have brought in some more pieces in place to run the offense that he was really good at, and he knew it inside and out, and played a little better consistent defense, I think he could have sustained that job and been there longer than he was for the 8 years that he was there. Because, as you mentioned, Dave, he nips Nebraska. He got Oklahoma. Unfortunately, the 8 years that he was there, he never beat Iowa. It's not trying to make him look bad or something. It's the truth, okay? That doesn't help when you play that game every year in that rivalry. Sooner or later, you got to start beating them, and he never was able to do that. But he was just a guy that was, when I came in, I studied some of the things, and I knew about, as you guys know, and I'm sure, Keith, you know vividly well, he came in and was short scholarships because Jim Kreiner's situation, there was NC2A rules and then Jim Kreiner rules. And a lot of rules were broken. I don't know the guy. Okay, I coached against him when I was in Iowa, and most of those games were over at halftime, honestly. Check the scores. It was ridiculous how bad they were. And then they're cheating to get probably a few good players, and they're cheating to get some bad players, and no depth. That's one of those games where you're at halftime, you're up by 4 or 5 or 6 touchdowns against Jim Kreiner, and you're going, stay focused. They can come back. This is a team that's well coached. They can come back, and the players are looking at you like you got 3 heads. And then they look at you like, he ain't coming back now, coach. That ain't happening. And because of all the rules that were broken and the scholarships that were subtracted, Jim Walden had a real tough start to everything when he got that much. I remember way down in scholarships. He had nothing to do with that. That wasn't his fault. But he inherited
back then,
that.
Coach, that was a big deal because those scholarships were invaluable. You've got the Texas of the worlds that were taking first-team All-Americans, sitting them on their bench, and Iowa State is struggling to get a first-teamer coming in.
No question.
When he came in, I was a senior that year before he got there, so I never got to play with him. But I was there all as a student assistant coach as well, and we had 18 JUCOs my senior year that were gone, and then you had the scholarships taken away, and you had the attrition of players. Yeah. When he got there, when he filled up with a full roster of 20, and he could only bring in 15 scholarship guys. We only had 55 guys on scholarship. Yeah. Out of 95.
Yeah.
And now, and as well as anybody, Coach, and back then you could go 95-25.
Yeah.
You could only bring in 25 guys at a time. You could never get caught back up to the 95 scholarships because you always had attrition as well.
Yeah. And Keith, it's not an excuse. That's fact. Yep. That's when we're talking about his career and his years at Iowa State. That's about as tough a way as you can ever start now.
Yeah.
Now because of attrition and some of those other things, I remember my first year I only had 9 seniors in my first class at Iowa State for various reasons, but there was only 9. And you line up just like you said, Dave, and you're going to line up now. My first year was the last year in the Big 8, and then we're going to go to the Big 12. Now we're going to bring in Texas. Now we're going to bring in Texas A&M. We're going to bring in Texas Tech. We're going to bring in Baylor. Now you're still going to have the smallest athletic budget. You're still going to have the smallest salaries that you're paying your coaching staff. You're still going to no, great fans, loyal fans, damn right, phenomenal. But you're in a state that doesn't have a lot of population, and Iowa has been dominating the recruiting in the state of Iowa for years and years and years and years, dominating with the best players going to Iowa City. You got to somehow turn that around, and you can't just do it with 1 or 2 guys. You got to start being able to get more of those guys because it starts at home, as you guys know. But I just the way that Jim had to start and then to still be able to win some of those games that he did is pretty damn amazing. I don't know. Maybe you guys know better. And I even if I did know, I may not even say why, but he was not able to sustain it. I think there were some changes on his coaching staff. I knew Jimmy Burrows. I interviewed some guys when I took the job, but guys, I just couldn't. It was winless. Everybody had a really bad taste in their mouth, and I just wasn't going to retain anybody. And I loved Jimmy Burrows, loved him. I knew him for a long time, and I remember interviewing him. And I just said, Jimmy, I just can't. I've got to start clean. I'm a new head coach. Things have really gotten bad here, and I got to just start. And we stayed in touch. He coached high school in Ames, and then he ended up coaching with Frankie Solich at Nebraska, and then his son ends up being one of the best players in all of college football. But Jim had some really good coaches at times through the years, no question, some damn good coaches. But I just always felt like you be led by your dreams as a head coach, and don't let anything on the outside change that. And if you have the conviction and the commitment and the belief and the confidence, then you can go do some things that maybe people just don't think that you can do. But both of us had tough starts at Iowa State. Jim did and I did. And It really took some time to build the foundation and the beliefs and the discipline that you wanted to have a chance to win games. But we should all celebrate his life and be glad that he was part of the Iowa State history, that he was part of Iowa State football. And then guys that played for him or coached with him, Keith, as you did, I know we'll all be real thankful that he was a part of their lives and part of their journey in coaching.
Coach, I really appreciate you taking time out today. We've got guests lined up, ready to come on in, and I couldn't think of a better person to kick it off for us than yourself. And I appreciate your passion for Iowa State and your memories of Coach Walden. Thank you so much for coming.
God bless Jim Walden, and God bless you guys. Thanks a lot. Honored to be with you. Keep up the great work, guys.
You bet.
Thanks, Coach.
Bye-bye.
All right, we've got the next guest coming on here, Keith.
Well, looky here. There's a blast from the past. Hey, Coach Hughes, how you doing?
Oh, am I on?
Yeah, you are on.
Welcome
Well, I'm not sure how all this technology works, but it's good to see you all.
Yeah, man. So, Coach Hughes, you were with Coach Walden from Washington State all the way through, like, the end of his time at Iowa State, I think, right?
Yes, I was on the first staff and all the way to our demise.
Yeah. So you've known Coach Walden for many, many years.
Yeah, I did. Kind of a long story short, my brother was a basketball coach at Nebraska when Jim was there. And so when Jim got the job at Iowa State, my brother called him and said, hey, my brother has been coaching a while. If you're interested, we'll give him a call. So and that's how we got started. He saw me, or we communicated while he was recruiting in Southern California, and then he offered me a job. And that started God, how many years? 16 or so, 17. I'm my old age. Math is not one of my strong suits.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I was on the staff with you for a couple of years there, and the competitive nature that we had. You I think you started off on the defensive side, then came over to the bright side and started coaching the tight ends, if I recall.
Yeah, I had the outside linebackers at Washington State, and when we went to Iowa State, I had the tight ends and was fortunate enough to have a guy by the name of Mike Bush that made me a better coach.
Yeah, he says hi, by the way. I just played golf with him last week at the Iowa State Letter Winners golf outing. So I commandeered him onto my team, and he could hit the ball a long way like he could hit a baseball a long way. So he definitely wanted me to tell you hi, and hopes to see us sometime out either at Iowa State, or he gets out to the Northwest too. So he's got your number. So
okay, great.
Yeah. And Craig Mahoney says hi too.
All right, yeah.
Do you have any stories about just those early days of starting out on staff and some of the recruiting and being shorthanded? Coach McCarney was really kind of talking through some of the issues that were that your staff had inherited from the prior coaching staff. What were those early days like for you? And can you sort of walk us through maybe some of the recruiting and maybe some behind the scenes things that we are not aware of?
Well, we were, I don't want to use the term saddled, but Iowa State was high academics. Incoming freshmen were probably at a 3-point. And the NC2A rule said you have to have so many core courses at a 2.0 and you're eligible. So we were able to get them in to Iowa State with that. And we were also limited on how many kids because of the previous staff's problems that we had to serve as
cheating. Just call it cheating, Coach. Is that
we served his penance, and then so slowly we were able to get kids. The only problem was we would lose half of them to academics, and until we kind of got everything kind of straightened, then we were able to keep them in school, which I don't care what school it is. If kids go to class, if the athletic department has a good academic staff to support them, they'll graduate. And we had the high graduation rate, which we were really thankful for, and that was one of our. I think our graduation rate was better than our winning rate, but anyway, that we started to win a little bit, and then it kind of everything closed down.
Some of the battles that went on behind the scenes with the administration was detrimental to the ability to recruit and bring kids in, because they were actually putting you at a higher standard than what the NC2A was actually saying you needed to be at. A lot of people didn't realize that.
Yeah, the first president and vice president that we started to work with, had he stayed the entire time, we could have developed, a competitive program where, I'm not sure how long we would have, stayed, but we would have been able to get kids in, and they would have been taken care of because they came from Texas A&M, and even though A&M thinks they have a higher academic standard, their athletic standard is a little suspect.
Sure. And that was tough times. I remember some fun staff meetings we had in the 88 and 89, and then I stayed in touch quite a bit over the next few years. Coach Walden's ability to just manipulate and move within the offensive schemes. I know when you guys were at Washington State, you ran the split back veer, and I think you brought that to Iowa State to begin with. And the next thing you know, we're in single back, or we were in an I with Joe Henderson at tailback, and then the next year we're in a single back, 3 wides with Bushy at tight end and Blaise Bryant in the backfield. And lo and behold, a few years later, you guys are in the Wishbelt. I just thought that was amazing, his ability to maneuver throughout the different offenses based on skills.
He was never stuck in doing the same thing every year. He always wanted to find something new that fit in with our personnel. He knew that we weren't going to line up like Nebraska, line up, our eye with the tight end, 2 wide receivers and run over people. We had to find different ways to accomplish what we did offensively.
Well, going back to your needing the right athlete, you did need to be smart to coach or to play for coach, because you kind of had to be on your toes to know from season to season if you're going to change the offense a little bit and tweak it based upon the personnel. So you got to be ready, right?
Yes, yeah, and that was probably part of our movement back and forth. We decided, okay, this is what we have. How do they fit into a scheme that we can handle?
Getting text messages from certain people, so different people that are getting ready to come on. So there's certain folks that are out there. But Coach, I really appreciate you stopping by, saying hi. I know Coach and you are longtime friends, and I'm sorry for your loss because I know you've known him a lot longer than I have, and we're all better because of him. But it's gonna, there's a gap right now that we got to figure out how we're gonna fill.
Yeah, it was strange. His middle child, Emily, called to let me know, and it was tough.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Coach. Really appreciate your
having
time.
on.
Bet. Thanks.
All right, so next up, Keith, we've got Jim Thompson on. Welcome to Tracking the Storm.
How we doing, guys?
Hey, Jimmy, how are you?
I'm good. Sitting up on the Mississippi, enjoying a little time off. So
I saw the walleye. Was that your boy that caught the walleye?
Yep.
That's fantastic.
Yep. Probably go back out after tonight. I'm hoping.
That's awesome. Dave, I got a trivia question for you.
Oh boy, here we go.
Oh boy.
Who was the last collegiate player to officially execute the fumblerooski?
Oh. You're going to tell me the guy that's on the screen right now? No?
Tim Thompson.
Oh. You're killing me. You're killing me, Smalls.
Hey, the best part about this was Nebraska would run it, Oklahoma would run it, all these other people would run it. So Iowa State runs it and they fucking ban it. Unbelievable.
Go figure, right? I mean, that's how things went for us, right there.
Right.
I remember when he told me we were going to do that, because that was my sophomore year, my third year, and I actually started out as a defensive player, and I remember being called in the coach's office after spring ball, and I was playing defensive tackle. I was maybe 240, 245, second team. I remember someone went down in the Nebraska game. We're playing at Nebraska in 91, and I had to go in on goal line, and I'm 240, 245 against Nebraska's huge line. And so we go through spring practice, and I go in the Walden's office. He wanted to talk to me, and I kind of had an idea of what he wanted to do. He goes, "Jimmy, I think we're going to have to make it." I'm like, "You're moving me to offensive line?" And usually when that happens as a defensive lineman, it's a negative thing. It's not like a great thing. I loved it. I was a much better blocker than I was a tackler, without a doubt. So he moved me to the offense. I climbed up the depth chart. By my third or fourth game, I was starting my third year, and we're getting ready to play Nebraska, and you've got to get tricky against Nebraska, right? You got to have something. And when he told me we were going to try this, I'm like, oh boy, this is going to be interesting. And we ran it in practice, worked flawlessly. And he said, there's going to be a time and a place we're going to try this. We're playing Kansas. And if you remember Kansas that year, they had Dana Stubblefield and Gilbert Brown were their defensive tackles.
Yeah, they were good.
Yeah. And we got to the right position. We ran the play. And yeah, I mean, offensive line, fat guy's dream come true.
Had I known that, we would have looked for video, because I think that would be great visual for this show.
Yeah, it's on every year. It'll be coming up here shortly on as you do the countdown to the season starting. We're on 62 days or whatever, and there's a cyclone clip. I guarantee you that play will be coming up within the next 2 weeks. It is on every single year. I laugh every time. So, it's awesome.
But yeah, it was bad. They outlawed it that year. You actually had to notify the officials before we ran the play, so they wouldn't call it dead because of the way we ran it. And next year they can't run it anymore. So I guess I'm officially the last guy.
You were? You were the last guy to run it. So
yeah,
you're in the record books, my man. You are in the record books.
Well, but the bad thing is, and I remember looking at the stats that year, I think that was the longest touchdown run from scrimmage for us.
Wow.
Well,
wow.
Which is pretty, but that was our longest touchdown. So that just,
So I'm guessing then you probably are in the top 5 as far as the rushing yard average too then, right?
Oh, I got to be the top one, I would think. 25 yards per carry. You kidding me? But it was great that he was that innovative, and it's a fun trivia thing, and my sons and everyone, we always enjoy talking about it. But that's just kind of the offensive mind that he had. Is he knew we were up against David and Goliath, and we had to do something special to beat a team like that. And that's exactly what we did.
That is I when we knew we were doing this show, and Chris sent me a text about doing this thing, I'm like, I knew McCarney was going to be one of the first calls that I had to make, but I knew from the player's perspective I had to have you come on there, just because Maruski goes in, and I mean, it was the last one ever run, but it just spoke to what Coach Walden would do. I mean, he would look at it, and he knew somebody else could be successful with it. He had no ego. He's going to outrun it. We'll do it. And it was just as successful as Oklahoma was, and Nebraska was, and we were. So,
yeah, exactly. But, there's been so many life lessons with my class. When we went in there, we were the first big class. I think we were actually the first class that, when my freshman year, majority of us were able to redshirt. It was finally getting to that point for Iowa State where, hey, we can actually redshirt kids and build these kids up. And unfortunately, with my class, we were the 94 team. That was my senior year, his last year. And something that will always stick with me that he said to us is, with all the things we went through, is, guys, if you look at this, if this is the worst thing that happens to you in your life, you're a very lucky man. Because, when you look back at this, it's going to help you build. And all the guys in my class, and Keith, this, when we had the letter runners reunion, we didn't win a lot of games, but man, are our guys loyal, and they come back for these gatherings. And what I'm so proud of the guys that were in my class is all of us went on to do great things in life. We got business owners, we've got guys that are CFOs. They've been very successful in business, in family life, everything, because of the life lessons we learned from Coach Walden and going through what we went through at Iowa State. I mean, you look at it, it was just a crazy, crazy time that there wasn't a lot of victories. There wasn't a lot of good things to talk about, but man, you learned from it, and it made you a better person. And that's what I'm so thankful for.
And that's one of the things that, Keith, you've talked a lot about, and our prior guests have talked about, is the impact that coaches had, not necessarily on the game of football, but as a person, and being able to be a part and associated with Coach. Jim, from your perspective, what was that like? How do you hold Jim in your heart and your mind today as we talk about him and his legacy for you as a person?
Well, it's almost like a second dad. And, the one thing I always enjoyed, I mean, he gave me, in college, it's in the paper. I got in a little trouble one night, and Walden called me into his office, and just like a dad, I took my punishment, but he was there whenever you needed him. And that's the thing I always take back is if it wasn't just, you weren't just a football player to him. You were part of his family, and he wanted to see you do well. And that, when we saw him a couple of years ago, first question to me is, "Hey, Jimmy, you're looking great. What are you doing now? How's your kids? I follow you on Facebook." And a lot of us guys, that's the thing I really enjoyed, was following him on Facebook, especially the Friday joke days. Those are awesome. And that's, if there's one thing I'm going to miss, is getting on Facebook and here's Coach Walden with his Friday jokes. It was just the way it was. But, what I took away from him is he never BS'd you. When I went from defense to offense, he called it out. He goes, "You're just not a very good defensive player. Let's try on offense." And it was a great thing. It was what I needed to do. But, he wouldn't pull any punches. He told you the way it was, but he was honest about it. And that's something that I've taken in my life and applied to.
Coach, I had the pleasure of getting to know Coach not only as a graduate assistant, but then an assistant coach somewhere else, and seeing him interact with other coaches at like the AFCA Football Coaches Convention. And he was one of the guys that was in charge of getting the speakers for the different parts of the show of the convention that was going on. And he was always, he was the center. People were always coming to him. They were attracted to him. And the same with the staff, the same in the staff meetings. I mean, when you pulled it together, I'm being a part of the Kreiner meeting, the Kreiner teams, and Jim Kreiner would bring the team together in the middle of the field. It was, you knew you were hearing a line of bullshit. And when Coach Walden brought the team together, they knew that there was something meaningful that he was bringing together. And he was going to say something that you could take with you. He did it day in, day out. He did it in meetings, sometimes as a joke, but it was a life lesson that he said that he'd leave along the way. He was a fantastic person. I talked to him 2.5 weeks ago. I was going to be in Coeur d'Alene end of September, and we always try to figure out how to go have coffee or go get lunch or something. And he was always very gracious with his time, and I'm going to miss those times.
Yeah. I'm going to admit, I was hoping to catch him one more time in the letter winners. I know he was getting up there in years, and it was great to see him. Was that 2 or 3 years ago? I mean, I've got a ton of pictures from it. It's something I'll cherish for the rest of my life.
He's a great man. So,
All right. Hey, we're getting really deep into the show. Keith, if you don't mind, let's pay some bills and hear a word from our sponsors.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Jim, thanks for coming on, buddy. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. It was my pleasure.
Right.
In the heart of Des Moines, one name stands above the rest. Step inside, where tradition still matters. Warm, familiar, unmistakably Iowa, where every guest is welcomed like family. Service that's personal and never rushed. Fresh starts made daily. Iowa beef, hand-seasoned. Guided by fire, built on flavor. Served with pride. A bar as bold as the menu. Featuring the old-fashioned we're known for. A place that stays with you long after the night ends. Iowa Beef Steakhouse, 1201 East Euclid Avenue, Des Moines. Steak done right.
Buying or selling a home is one of the biggest decisions you'll ever make. That's why choosing the right real estate team matters. The Jenny Farrell team with RE/MAX Concepts has been helping families across the Des Moines metro find the right home since 1998. Born and raised right here in the community, Jenny understands the neighborhoods, the market, and what truly makes a house feel like home. Whether you're buying your first home, upgrading your space, or preparing to sell, the Jenny Farrell team provides expert guidance every step of the way, from market analysis and listings to negotiations and closing. Their consultative approach means you'll feel confident, informed, and supported throughout the entire process. Jenny Farrell Team, RE/MAX Concepts. Call or text 515-779-7500. Visit jenniferfarrell.remax.com. Experience you can trust. Results you can move into.
Freight brokers and shippers. Are you tired of drowning in emails, spreadsheets, and endless manual work? Introducing USFX, your AI-powered private freight command center. Simply email your PDF freight confirmation or bill of lading to intake@us-fx.com. In seconds, our AI captures every detail, sets up your shipment, verifies carriers, and launches a live digital workflow. No IT setup, no delays. Build your private carrier network instantly, send bids only to your trusted partners, and watch real-time tracking handle everything from pickup to delivery. Cut the friction, boost your margins, scale with ease. USFX, the smarter way to move freight. Visit us-fex.com today and get your free demo. Start transforming your operation.
Whiskey lovers, get ready for the ultimate experience at Whiskey Fest 2026. From exclusive tastings and live music to unforgettable networking and premium pours, this is the can't-miss whiskey event of the year. Kick things off Thursday, October 1st with the Women in Whiskey Dinner at River Center DSM. Then Friday night, October 2nd, enjoy the VIP whiskey tasting event at the Meridian in West Des Moines. The celebration wraps up Saturday, October 3rd with the whiskey tasting main event featuring incredible brands, bold flavors, VIP early entry, and more. To top it off, Old Man Strength will be broadcasting live Friday night from the VIP event. Raise your glass and join the experience at Whiskey Fest 2026.
It's a big meeting. All the families are going to be there. I need the best Italian restaurants you can find. Authentic Italian restaurants. About Fazoli's.
Hey, boss, I know a place.
You got a place?
I got a place.
Take me to it.
Hey, the 5 families are coming into town. I need your best tonight. The boss is on me. This is a make or break deal here. I need them to be happy, so bring us your best. Can you handle that?
Always the best at Chuck's. Always. I got you.
Since 1956, Chuck's has been a staple of family Italian dining in Des Moines. From fresh homemade pizzas and classic pasta dishes to ice-cold beer and handcrafted cocktails shared among friends, Chuck's has been bringing people together for generations.
Billy, I see you've assembled the 5 families. I would like an introduction, please.
We got Billy and Dolly, boss.
From the family circus. I hope you came directly here.
We got Thing.
From the Adams family. Nice tie.
We got Brian.
From the Family Guy. Doesn't look so hot, does he?
Let himself go a little bit.
A little bit.
A little bit. Well, boss, I can't seem to track down the Griswold.
Oh, the family went on vacation, so don't worry about it.
Whole family?
Whole family.
And we got Vinny Gabagool.
From the Gambino family. Welcome, everyone. Oh, look at that. Welcome to Chuck's. Everybody, manja.
Come over to Chuck's, where all families get to eat. And kids eat free on Thursdays.
What happens when Iowa grain meets world-class craftsmanship? At Revelton Distilling Company, every bottle begins right here in the heartland. From locally sourced Iowa corn and rye to the final pour, our grain-to-glass process ensures exceptional quality in every sip. Whether you're enjoying our award-winning mulberry gin, smooth honey whiskey, or rich whiskey and cream liqueur, you're tasting the best of Iowa in every bottle. And now, Revelton can ship directly to 48 states across the country. Visit ReveltonDistillery.com and have Iowa's finest delivered right to your door.
All right.
We're back, my friend.
We're like starting the whole show over again.
Yeah, I know. And here we are. We're talking about Revelton as a sponsor, and I've got them right there in front of me. So I absolutely love Revelton. You know, Keith, this is our first time being able to be on the show together. I appreciate you asking me to join and be a part of this special tribute episode for Coach Jim Walden. You know, you had a chance to spend a lot of time with Coach. Do you have some fond memories? You've talked a little bit about coaching with, being a grad assistant with him, and you know, it's probably got to be a little bit of a different experience being a grad assistant versus a full-time assistant, right?
So, I was a student. I just got done playing. So the next year, I'm watching. I'm watching the games and doing some student things for him, and then I wanted to get into coaching, and and I was doing the graduate assistant stuff, and he goes, well, where do you want to go? And I go, well, I'm really not sure how to even go about it. So he got me an interview at Tennessee with Johnny Majors. He got me an interview with Barry Switzer at Oklahoma. And so I set the meetings up, drove down to Knoxville, Tennessee, sat down with Johnny Majors for just a couple hours. He sat there with me, went over to Oklahoma. I drove from Knoxville, Tennessee to Norman, Oklahoma, sat down with Barry Switzer for a couple hours, came home, and Coach Walden called me up and said, hey, how'd it go? So I went down to the office and sat in his office with him. And he's like, so how'd it go? And I go, well, Tennessee looked really good. And Oklahoma was really a fun spot, kind of, lifelong dream kind of things, I guess you'd say. And at the same time, he goes, just one of the graduate assistants that we had here left. So I actually have a position open here. Would you be interested in being a GA here at Iowa State? And I was like, I'm in. So I got to spend 2 years with him, really learning the offense and really learning and understanding what the offense looks like. So it was and how to develop a scheme around it. And I understand that we have an awesome guest coming on.
We do. I'd like to welcome on Coach Jimmy Burrow.
Coach Burrow.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey, man. How are you doing?
I'm just on my phone here, so
yeah, you're good.
I might look a little funny, but that's all right.
I always look funny, but you know that.
You guys doing all right?
We're doing really good.
We appreciate you coming on and having this special tribute episode for Coach Jim Walden. You want to share a little bit about some of your experiences working with Coach?
Well, we go back a long way, probably way more than anybody you've talked to so far. My dad was assistant superintendent at Amory High School and was part of the hiring process that hired Coach Walden to be our head football coach. We moved next door to him. I guess I was probably in 5th grade, so he became somebody I looked up to very early in my life. My high school coach until he went to Nebraska, recruited me to Nebraska. I was playing in Canada, and he allowed me to come back to Washington State for 5 years until I retired in the CFL. Got hired there, coached with him 7 years there, and another 7 at Iowa State. So a lot of great experiences. My family considers his family really part of our family. So it was sad to hear that he passed away. I talked to Emily, and hopefully when I know the arrangements, we'll be able to get back to I'm assuming in Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah, that's I heard about it through social media, which was pretty tough to hear the news that way. With Coach did a lot for me, and it did a lot for all of us. I mean, he did. I got to mention somebody to you, though, Coach Burrow. Debbie Morris from Amory,
yes,
Mississippi,
yes,
sent me a message when we did our show with Coach Walden in January. So I wanted to let her know that we were doing this show tonight. I told her you were going to be on. She says, "You make sure you tell him hi for me."
Well,
so
she was a few years behind me, but her family, they've been friends with me and my family for a long time, and she's always been a big supporter of Coach Walden and me, and really for both of us. And our everything started in Amory, and I owe Coach Walden really so much in my life that it's you don't know where to start really, because I worked for him and became a friend. He was like my second dad. I met my wife Robin in Ames, and I was there because of Coach Walden. My son Joe was born in Ames because of Coach Walden. So we can tie in a lot of different things with my life due to Coach Walden. I mean, I knew Murray, Emily, and Lisa, and their mom Janice. When they were all babies and just starting their family. So I still kept in touch with him. When somebody passes away like that, you wish you would have reached out more, and so that's the way I feel. But he affected so many people's lives in a positive way. And I was talking to Craig Bowler the other day, and I think on that staff, 5 of us ended up marrying somebody that we met names, and all 5 of us were there only because Coach Walden gave us a job. So he affected us personally in life and professionally, and you guys have all been a part of that. So he was a great person and a great man.
Really was. He really was. I know you kind of rushing around today to get on this thing, and it was talked to a lot of the different coaches from the staff. I talked to Coach Elliott through text, and he wanted to send his best. Coach Sanders sends his best. It's just, that was a hell of a staff, and we had a hell of a lot of fun when we were there too, man.
We did, and Coach Walden, it was always important to him to hire people that fit in with what we were trying to do, and coaches that that cared about the players, not just on the field but off the field, and we certainly did that at Iowa State. I was back at that reunion a few years back, and just the love that former coaches and former players have for Coach Walden is the tribute that matters most to him.
When we heard the news, Chris Shipley, who's one of the owners of Three Beards Media, he contacted me, said, we have to do a show. And I'm like, I'm on it, man. I'm on it. I got the different contacts to get in touch with and try to figure out how to get to. And Chris Spencer was, I contacted Chris, and Chris is like, you got to get on Coach Elliott. You got to get on Coach Burrows. And I'm like, I don't have either of their contact information. So Chris said he wanted to make sure, he said hi. He's still out at Okoboji. He's on cold case now and doing the cold cases in Omaha.
Yeah, I see Chris occasionally. My son Jamie, who played at Ames and is in the Hall of Fame there, again because Coach Walden brought us all there. He lives in Omaha, so I see Chris occasionally. I see Danny Dostal more than anybody there. He has a couple of kids that are prospects. I see there in Omaha. So quite a few of the players. We had a good base of recruits in Nebraska, and that goes back to really me having played at Nebraska and Coach Walden bringing me there to play football, and Coach Walden having a chance to work at Nebraska too for Coach Devaney. So as I said in I posted a couple things today on Facebook and Twitter, and just said, I really don't know where my life would have taken me if not for Coach Walden. He was just so influential in my life from a very young age to till the end there at Iowa State, and then certainly continued to be a part of our life. He would come back to Amory. Of course, I usually wasn't there, but he would always stop by and visit my parents. My dad, as I said, was involved in giving Coach Walden the head coaching job there. So a lot of good things about Coach Walden, other than just a great coach also.
Are you ever still in Ohio then, Coach?
Yeah, I live in Ohio. We were at a lake in Michigan today, and we're headed back home, and we're my wife and I are kind of involved in not kind of, that's what we do. We're involved and run Joe Burrow Foundation. We're 2.5 hours from Cincinnati, so I think Joe likes it that we're that far away, but he likes us that we're that close.
Sure.
Also, we go to every game. We certainly follow Nebraska and Washington State and the Cyclones. So I go to a lot of football games, and still go to some of the Bobcats. I work for Frank Solich. Interesting that Ohio Bobcats open up the season against Nebraska Cornhuskers. So that's going to be that would be one Coach Walden would have been very interested in for sure. And but yes, we're here in Ohio, and this is where I coached with Frank Solich for 14 years. Again, the Nebraska connection with Coach Solich is a result of me being brought to Nebraska by Coach Walden. So there's not really anything I can bring up that doesn't somehow revert back to Coach Walden and his effect on my life.
Great man. We've got a guy in the studio in the background in the studio waiting to come on. You might remember this guy. He played a little football while we were there together.
Let me see who it is.
Blaise Bryant.
What's up, Blaise?
How you guys doing?
I'm good. Of course, Blaise came from California, and we reached out a lot of places to get players, and he's one of the best that we ever had, and one of the best to ever play at Iowa State. So it's good seeing you.
You too, and thank you, Coach. I appreciate that.
I remember when we first got to Iowa State, and I think it was before Blaise. When we got there, the former coach made our running backs wear knee braces and stuff, and that was one of the first things Coach Walden did. He says, "Get those running backs out of the knee braces and stuff." But Blaise didn't. He could have played with them or without them, but he was a great player for us.
Thanks, Coach. I appreciate that.
Are you in California?
I am.
All right.
I'm in Irvine.
Okay. My son Joe trains out in California a lot during the off season, so we occasionally are out there. But I figured you were one of those California guys that would go back there, So.
Yeah. I don't know anything else.
Well, it's a good place when it's 72 every day for the most part. That's a good thing and stuff.
Just like Ames, we never had a cold day there. Give Blaise.
We had some cold games at Iowa State. That's
my God.
for sure. And if you were from California, or in my case from Mississippi, it wasn't always the best conditions. But Coach Walden taught us all to not worry about the weather. Just do what we were supposed to do as a coach and player. So we had some fun times there.
Really did.
Blaise, you got a kind of a memory of Coach Walden you like to share, or just? I know we chatted quickly the other day, and it was obviously a shock to both of us.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I mean, I used to love the way he's always telling jokes. He always had a joke. At the end of practice, He always had a joke, and sometimes it would loosen me up. Sometimes he would tell me a joke in a game and would loosen me up. I remember one time and we played Missouri, and I was slipping all over the place, and me and Norm Anderson got into it. And he's like, "Oh, Blaise, what do you want? Another fucking field?" And I'm sitting there all pissed off at halftime, and then Walden walks over and he says, "A carpenter never blames his tools." And I was like, "That's funny."
Well, he had all those sayings, some of which we can't bring up on the air, but he always had some funny things. Blaise is right, and he had a way of cutting the tension that was in the air, whether it was pregame or halftime, or even post game sometimes, whether we won or lost. But he had a way of making us all feel pretty good about what was going on, for sure.
Yeah, he was something else.
Now, Blaise, did Coach Walden, was he your head coach that recruited you in as a freshman, or as you're a transfer, right?
Yeah, I was a junior college transfer.
Okay.
Yeah, he was. I signed with Hawaii out of high school, but I couldn't read, so I couldn't pass the SAT. So I had to either be Prop 48 or I went to community college. So I wasn't sold on going to Hawaii anyway, so I decided to go to community college and transfer out.
So what was his selling story to come to Ames, Iowa?
Its main one is that we don't have a returning running back. And that was kind of the main thing my junior college coach said too. And so he's like, you can go to those big schools, but they're bringing them in, and there's only one football. So I narrowed it down to Purdue, Ole Miss, and Washington and Iowa State. But when I took my recruiting trip to the University of Washington, and then they had 17 running backs. So I was like, well, that's not going to work. So then I narrowed it down to Purdue and Iowa State. Then I went to Iowa State.
And we were glad he did. We were fortunate to get somebody of that caliber to come from the junior college. You know, we had Coach Hughes, I think, Coach Fabris. I mean, we had a lot of, I mean, several coaches that would recruited California. It was probably was it Coach Hughes or
Robin Ross?
Oh yeah, Robin too, because he was from California. So you know, Coach Walden liked to put people in the areas that you know, where if the coach had connections, and Robin did. But
so Jimmy, I got to tell you this. I don't think you know this story. So you know how Coach Walden could get a little long-winded in the staff meetings. You know,
oh yeah,
you know, I mean, he could carry things on for a while. Coach Ross pulls me to the side and says, "You need to get to the airport, and you got to pick up this running back out of California. His name's Blaise Bryant." So I'm like, "Okay, when's he come in?" He said, 45 minutes.
Yeah. Well,
Robin gives me the keys to the Iowa State van. Remember we rode back in the Iowa State van? I take off, and I get to the gate. And back then, you'd have to go through security the way you do now. And I went to the gate, and before I left, I go, "Well, what's he look like?" He goes, "You can't miss him." So I come off, I get out, I walk out of the staff meeting, I get in the van, I drive to Des Moines, I go to the gate. Here this guy comes off, he's got hair pointed like this and down out the back, he's got a mullet and all kinds of shit. I'm like, "You must be Blaise."
I remember that for sure.
Yeah, surfboard with him too.
That was fantastic.
Coach Walden really, you know, the offense that we ran, even at Washington State or Iowa State, we always had really good running backs, certainly because of their ability. But Coach Walden and the offense that he ran, and he was a great offensive coach. So you know that always was conducive to us making sure we had great running backs. And between Blaise and
Joe Henderson.
Yes, and then at Washington State, we had Reuben Mays and Kerry Porter, and then we eventually recruited Troy Davis. So he knew what a running back was supposed to do, and Blaise fit that for what we always wanted.
One of the things that a lot of the guests this evening have really talked about is the impact that Coach Walden had on them outside of the football world, which I think is really refreshing to be able to hear that it's not just about football and athletics. It's about you as a person. Blaise, can you share a little bit about the impact that Coach had or has had on your life?
Yeah, I mean, when I got there, I was 19, and I was really, still a teenager, and it kind of helped and molded me, not just as a football player, but also as I was turning into a man. And when I got drafted, I know he gave me principal financial for my financial advisors and everything else. And he just kind of always told me, the right things to do, the right places to go, and just how to hold yourself, And I think I really needed that, as a 19-year-old to a 21-year-old, especially not knowing really what's going on and everything's happening so fast.
He was great with all of them, and I watched him interact with different guys all the time. And Coach Burrow, you saw it day in, day out for 30 years. I mean, holy cow, the guy was amazing.
And for me, we saw how he treated his family and was always there for them, even though we put in a lot of hours in the office. But I think, for me, just knowing not just as a coach, but as a father and as a husband, that taught me a lot. And he cared about us, our coaches, me, cared about our families. So it wasn't just 100% football. I mean, we would have get-togethers over at his house with all the families. He didn't not let us have time with our families. And I think as I became a coach at other places, and I always respected the fact that he taught us we could never not have enough time for our families. So he was big into that. And if you've ever been, which most or all of you have been around Emily and Lisa and Murray, he raised just a great family. And as I said, I saw them in diapers and how they grew up to be good people and good family people themselves. So he taught us all a lot, for sure.
Sure did.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Man, I tell you, that's this hour and a half just flew by. I mean, it absolutely just flew by. I mean, it's just, do we have anybody else sitting in the studio? I know there was a few other guys who are going to try, but
I did not see any there, Keith.
Yeah.
If you had Coach Walden on here, you'd need another hour and a half. And he'd go for it too.
There he would. He would. He was fantastic when we had him on the show a little over, I guess it's been 7 months ago now. He was a treat back then. So.
Well, and I think one thing that Coach McCarney had talked about on the front end of the show, Keith, is that we forget Coach he stayed around the area. He was still involved. He had the Jim and Jim show and for the longest time. And, I think those of us that remain or still are in central Iowa, we were able to see Coach evolve from this coach on the field and the sidelines to this personality, right? That had great stories that he would tell. And then he'd hop on the radio and just talk. And he wasn't there to be negative, but he just had this positive, I'm here to have fun persona. And, I think that was a gift for the rest of us to be able to see and emulate. Because a lot of times I think, you can become sour that it didn't work out quite like you wanted it to. But he was just one that he remained in the game, remained in the community, remained a part of all of our lives. And I think that's a great takeaway for the rest of us, is that that's the way to really live life, of having fun. Football is football, but at the end of the day, it's about the people. It's about the players. It's about the fans and the experience. And, that's probably the biggest takeaway for me as a fan, is to be able to know a guy like Coach Walden and to see the rest of the stories that you guys bring out about him and the type of person that he was, that at the end of the day, it's about the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a tough hour and a half to hear and to listen to, but it's been refreshing at the same time. I'm going to definitely be out in Coeur d'Alene when they have the memorial. I think it's going to be in August is what they're looking at. I'll try to get more details on that. And if I hear anything, Coach Blaise, I'll let you guys both know as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I usually end the show one way, and I'm going to, if we don't have anything else you guys want to cover up, I'll do it the same way. It's tough. From this loyal son to that loyal son. I really love that, man.
Go Cyclones.
Go State.
Thank you.
We'll close it up. Go Cyclones.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thank
thanks.
you.
You guys do a good job. Thank you.
We're tracking the storm, watching it form from Crutchfield's grind to Troy's 2K storms. Seneca spinning through the rain and roar, turning third and long to forevermore. From Jack's I will to the Campbell years, we build up hope out of heartbreaking tears. Yeah, the line holds strong and the faith's reborn. We're keeping eyes on tomorrow by tracking the storm. Here comes Johnny Orr, fist toast up in the air. Tonight's show theme on that Hilton stare. Took a quiet Coliseum, turned it into a spare, where top 25 giants learned to fear this well. Hilton magic swirling like a cyclone wind. We're nine on the pivot, made the rafters spin. Step back, jump or drive down the lane.